All right, welcome to tonight's team call. I'm so glad that there are so many beautiful faces here. I'm so glad to see you. Today, we are kind of taking off from last week's team call where we really talked about intentionality. If you know me, like intentionality is my jam. I'm here for that. But let's be honest, creating intentionality is really, really hard because the only way that you can create intentionality is by setting some boundaries. And that's the tricky part, right? So that's what I'm really going to dive into today is setting setting healthy boundaries to help you live an intentional life. But before we start that, I do want to make a couple notes. What to know for Divine Dynasty. As always, we have our weekly empowerment calls, which are Wednesdays at 8 p.m. This Friday, so from now on, every single month, the third Friday of every month, we are going to have a Netflix movie night. If you have suggestions for other virtual events that you want to hold throughout any month, then don't hesitate to let us know. But this Friday at 8 p.m., there will be a movie night. Hopefully you can hop on there. It's so much fun. You just get a chit chat and like get in a group chat. It's a blast. We also have Be the Fire Bootcamp, which just kicked off and Happier, Healthier. Lean in there for support. This one's going to be going on for the next 3 weeks. Happier, Healthier is our ongoing boot camp. That's where it's always going to happen. So you can't ever say like, hey, where's your next group? Hey, when are we starting again? Every day is day one, babe. Get in there, lean in, kick ass. The next big group kickoff is going to be February 8th. We don't have a name for that one yet. That is when I'm going to be starting 9-week Control Freak. As long as I decide, I don't know, y'all are tempting me. I still can't decide if I'm all in or if I'm going to do the Joel hybrid, but I think I might give 9-week a try. Last but not least, for Divine Dynasty, Team Cup registration is going down till the end of this month. So if you're wanting on a Team Cup team, what that means is you're committing to helping 3 people this month. You're committing to work in the business at least an hour a day, I would say, and really showing up for your business, trying it out, see what you think, growing a business, making an income, paying for your supplements, going all in. If you want information on Team Cup or you want to be on a Team Cup team, then make sure you reach out to me so that I can help kind of organize that. What to know for Beachbody, the 3-day refresh is on sale. It's 10% off, not 10% of, but that's okay. $20 off bundles, MBF, 9-week Control Freak, and 30-day breakaway. I don't know who watched Super Saturday on Sunday. Was it Super Weekend is what it's called now. But Salted Caramel's coming back, baby. And this mama's excited because I was too busy last time getting everybody links. I didn't get myself some. So I am getting me a stash of money set aside so I can get all the salted caramel. I freaking love that stuff. They also announced Let's Get Up, which we kind of already knew was Shaun T's new program. It's coming in the spring. And shout out to Michelle because she is going to be a test group participant for that. So freaking exciting. And they announced that Amwala will be having a new program coming soon too. Who's pumped about that? All right. So now, last week we really talked about intention. We talked about really setting the standards for where you want to be and how you're going to get there. The only way to create change is to be really focused on that, right? But I think a lot of the times we let our fears and kind of society's rules or the way we were raised hold us back. We don't really allow ourselves to dream because what's dreaming? Like, no, we just get up and we go to work and then that's life, right? Like, cool if we lose weight, cool if we make money, but you just go and you do your job and you're good. But what if for just 20 minutes, an hour tonight, we sat here and you gave yourself permission to not worry about what anyone else would think or not worry about what society tells us. And instead, think of that life that you want to live. If you could create your dream life, what's that going to look like? Right? And I'm sure you can kind of imagine things right now, little bitty things here, and may not be saying them out loud or feeling them real deep, but I know they're there. Just let them be there, right? And then I want you to ask yourself, what's stopping you from making it happen? So go ahead. If you have something that you're thinking of in your life, you're like, oh, I really would love this, drop it in the comments. And then go ahead and comment again, like, what's the thing that's stopping you? I think a lot of the times we want something in life, But we use excuses like, oh, I just don't have time to do that, right? Like I hear that all the time, like, oh, I want to lose weight, but I just don't have time to work out. Or, oh, I want to build a business, but I don't have time to manage that with a family. Or maybe the excuse is, I'm just too tired. It's 8 p.m. and the day's over and I already failed. Girlfriend, it's 8 p.m. The day is not over. Move your ass, right? Like if you want to get that workout in, if you want to lose that weight, then you're not going to let 8 p.m. be your excuse. It doesn't matter if you're tired. Go work out and go to bed. Or you don't have money, right? Mom guilt, anybody else's mom guilt comes sliding on in here. Oh, I don't have that money to spend on me. Yeah, you do. You're just choosing not to. I get it. I totally understand. The thing is, those fears, those excuses that we have, they're actually fears. They're actually things that are just holding us back. It's because we aren't putting boundaries around other things or other people in our life, and we're letting them take our time. We're letting them take our energy. We're letting them take our money, right? That's really the problem. And a lot of those no boundaries come from fear, if we're being honest. Like fear is the thing. But we're afraid of what's going to happen when we set those boundaries. We're afraid of what's going to happen when we say no. We're afraid of how your husband might react because you want to work out at 8 p.m. instead of watch TV. You're afraid of how your family's going to react because every night you want to come down and work your business for an hour. You're afraid that your mom might get upset that you didn't buy her a Christmas present because you're saving money to pay off your debt, right? Those are just little simple examples. But the truth is, if you want more time, freedom, and energy, you have to start saying no. And I'm not talking in a rude way at all whatsoever. And that's what I want to walk you through here. Because a lot of the times when we hear the word no, it feels icky, it feels harsh, it feels very direct, it feels very matter of fact. And I don't want you to think of it as matter of fact at all. I want you to know that your no is your choice, that your no you get to be flexible with. So you really have to ask yourself, what are those things that are taking your time? What are those things that are taking your energy? What are those things that are stopping you from having the freedom that you want? And where can you draw those boundaries? And each person's life is going to look different. Each person's kind of struggles are going to be different as well. I'm just trying to make sure I'm recording this. Okay, good. Whew. And especially as women, as moms, as humans, we naturally like to nurture, care, worry, and please others. We always automatically, at least almost every woman I know, puts other people's wants and needs above ours, right? So if our kid needs something, we're going to drop everything like that. If our husband says, "Hey babe," we're going to drop everything like that. If someone says, "I need this," what are we going to do? We're going to try and help them. Why? Because that's who we are. That's how we were made. That's how God created us, to just be that nurturing figure in other people's lives. And again, some of it can be coming from fear. It could be coming from how we're raised, right? Like we're trying to prove our worth or our value to other people by showing up for them. We want to make sure and just continue to show up in that the way that society tells us we should. But I want to give you permission real quick. I want you to know that you can be a good person with a kind heart and you can still say no. No is not a dirty word. No is actually very, very powerful. No is actually the thing that will allow you to show up in life with the best energy, with the best intentions, with the best vibes, with the best happiness, with the best smile, with the best attitude. Because you got to think, right? When you're saying yes to everything and you have these million plates spinning around you and you're overwhelmed and you're exhausted, you're distracted, you drop one, then you shame yourself, you blame yourself, you tear yourself down. Oh, guess what? Then another one drops and then you start beating yourself up even more. And again, saying yes too much will only make you feel worse. But what if you could say no to the things that aren't your priorities and start saying yes to the things that are your priorities? Last week in the team call, I really kind of challenged you with that, what your priorities are. And I want you to go ahead here, if you have a chance, to drop it in the comments. What are your top priorities? For me, family. For me, my health and happiness. For me, my business. For me, my faith. For me, my marriage. Those are all super important things. For me, traveling. And I really have to look at what's going on in my life, where I'm at in my seasons of life, and say, okay, what is taking my energy? What do I need to step back on so that I can show up for my priorities, number one? It's okay to say no. Set the boundary. You're not a bitch. You're a badass. You are owning your life, and that is amazing. And when you can own your life, girl, you're going to bring the fire. When you can own your life, you're going to bring the energy and the love and the happiness and the joy. You're going to be a better mom, a better wife, a better friend, a better insert whatever label you're putting on yourself. So let's say that your struggle, and I use struggles that I hear from challengers, from clients, from coaches, because I want to bring truth, right? Like I want to bring stuff that you're going to relate to. Some of the struggles that I hear are, working out daily, right? Like their goal is to work out daily, but they can't because it takes time away from their family. They can't because they planned this with their girlfriends. They can't because their husband's not home and they've got to cook supper and they've got to do this and that and the other, or their husband doesn't want to watch the kids while you do a workout, whatever that is. And I want to give you permission to do these things, right? Be willing to say, hey, honey, this 30-minute workout is a priority to me. I made a promise to myself to do this workout every single day. I need your help. I need your support. Maybe you are like me, because I was that mom with 3 babies at home. Literally, it makes me crazy when people use their kids as an excuse. I had 3 babies at home, no husband home at all. Literally, he worked nonstop. It was a boundary that I had to set for myself. I had to get up early and I had to tell myself, you are not taking this time from your family because it caused stress and anxiety and all 9 yards. So I knew that I couldn't work out with my kids because that did not bring me joy. So that was off bounds, right? Instead, I had to say, like, if you're going to do this, you have to do this first thing in the morning. And that was my boundary line for myself. Sometimes the boundaries that you're setting aren't with other people. They're with you, right? So maybe that boundary is to not go to bed until you get your workout done. Whatever it takes to reach that goal or to set those intentions, you have to really be very clear about what you have to get rid of and where you need to stand up, where you need to communicate, where you really need to be willing to fight for yourself, essentially. Another excuse or struggle, or I don't know what we're calling these, I get is eating healthy, right? Well, I try to eat healthy, but my spouse always sabotages me. He always brings pizza or ice cream, etc., etc. Well, I try to eat healthy, but I went out with everyone else and they were all eating junk food and they had ice cream and they had alcohol and they were making fun of what I was eating, right? Or, well, I would love to eat healthy, but I have a house full of kids. I have to buy junk food. Or I would love to eat healthy, but I don't want to make more than one meal and kids and my husband. Listen, I'm just saying, this is where you need to draw a boundary, right? If there's someone, making fun of you for what you're eating, that's a conversation that has to be had, because your food is none of their business, just like their food is none of your business. If you have a spouse who's trying to sabotage you, it's a conversation where you say, I love that you really are getting us food and you're caring for us and you're bringing that in and you're taking that responsibility off my shoulders. But right now I'm really keeping a promise to myself to eat healthy. So you and the kids go ahead and eat that. I'm going to go ahead and make me some food, right? That's what it took my husband. He every single night would come home with ice cream because he knows I love ice cream or pizza. And he'd be like, I made supper. And I'm like, no, you didn't. You feel bad because I'm eating better. And so you don't want to shame you. So you're trying to make me join in. And I think that's the thing. A lot of the times other people's insecurities sneak in here. And that's why it puts that pressure on us, right? Because they are insecure of their choices. But when you could put the boundary of where you're going in your life, they don't get that wiggle room to push you out of your comfort zone. When it comes to not buying junk food, that's where you put a boundary. If you can't have it in your house without eating it, then you don't buy it. Guess what? You're the mama. You're buying the groceries. You're making the grocery list. You're spending the money. Say no. If you shouldn't be eating it, neither should your kids. Let me just give you that little piece of advice. give them the power to not have to unlearn everything you're having to unlearn. And then when it comes to making one meal, everything we eat is absolutely perfect and healthy for the entire family. Just like I just said, if you shouldn't be eating it, they probably shouldn't either. So if you can make family-friendly meals, everybody wins. And if you can put that boundary in place, sorry fam, I'm only making one meal. If you want something different, then you better get your hands dirty, because this is what I'm doing. That's a boundary. And it's a conversation, and it can be come out with grace and love. Just because you're saying no, or you're asking for help, or you're putting that boundary in, it doesn't mean it has to be hard or uncomfortable or mean. And I think that's a lot of the struggle sometimes when we're putting boundaries in. We think that it has to be really something scary and something bad. But boundaries are awesome. And when you can learn to communicate, when you can learn to have like an adult conversation, which we're not taught that. So I mean, raise your hand if you actually know how to have an adult conversation. I've had to unlearn a whole lot of shit before I could even get to that place. And I think that maybe, just maybe, I'm almost there. So another place where people struggle is it's really taking time for you, asking for an hour or a day or a weekend, or going pee in peace, right? Taking time for friends, doing something you love, asking for help. These are places that you really have to dive in for yourself and really figure that out. Same with building a business. I get all the time people want to pay for their supplements or build a business, but they don't want to take time away from their family, but they don't want to say no to their friends on the weekends, but they are so ashamed of what they want to accomplish or where they can go that they don't want to ask about that, or they're afraid of what people are going to judge and say. The truth is, if you're intentional with your priority of building a business, if you're intentional with your time, if you're intentional with your boundaries, none of that's going to be a struggle. I get from 3 to 6 every single night, totally unplugged with my entire family. 3 to 7 every single night, totally unplugged with my family. Like, no work, it's just family time. They're not missing out on anything from me. So I think it's just recognizing the fears and where the boundaries need to be. Everybody, raise your hand if you would love some balance in your life, right? Like, girlfriend, give me balance. The thing is, there's no balance. Balance is not a thing, and I wish it was, because I would love balance too. But balance isn't a thing. Balance is not better time management, right? Like, you're never going to have more hours in your day. You're never going to have the perfect setup or the perfect plan. You guys see me plan every single week, and then you see it kind of crumble, and you see me roll with it anyways. That's just life. Balance is not better time management. It's better boundary management. So this week I've been very intentional in how I'm showing up. So the boundary is I'm not on my phone in the mornings. The boundary is I'm not on my phone when I'm doing homeschool. The boundaries is I'm not on my phone during my unplugged hours. And really setting that in its place is giving me more time for myself in the mornings, more time for my business when I'm working, more focused time with my family. And it feels so freaking good. It's only Tuesday, but y'all, I want to dance. It feels good. Okay, so this quote really, really spoke to me, so I'm going to share it with you too. Figure out what you want and then create your life from that vision. Don't just wait and see what comes your way. That's like going to a restaurant and just seeing what they cook for you. Girl, no, like make your own damn food. But really think of that goal or dream that you'd love to go after right now. And if you have one on your heart, then please drop it in the chat, because I would love to cheer you on and support you in that. But think of that goal, even if you want to share it or if you don't, that you'd love to go after, and write it on a piece of paper right now. Go get a piece of paper, write it on your piece of paper, write that goal, that thing that for me, it's a camper. It's the lake home, the dream vacation lake home. I can see it. I can smell it. I can feel it. The laughs, I can hear it. Oh, the sunshine. Oh, the warmth. Oh my goodness. But what will I need to start saying no to make it happen, right? Like, what's that going to take? And Kenny and I have been having this conversation for the past week. It means no going to bed at night at the same time, right? It means sacrificing my work hours after I get the kids to bed so that I can work a little bit more. It means no unintentional scrolling. It means no wasting time back and forth on messages 24/7. It means being very focused in my job, being very focused in how I'm showing up as a mom, being very focused on my money. No spending, no Amazon, no treating myself. If I want to pay cash for a camper, sister, I'm gonna have to be raking in that money, right? If I want a down payment, if I want to pay cash for my dream lake home, for him to build it for me, that would be my even bigger dream. I'm gonna have to save some money, right? We knocked off the debt. Now it's just tackling the next thing one step at a time. And those big goals, they're big, and I get it. I feel it. It's going to take time. And that's why sometimes it's hard to create those boundaries, because we don't even know if that's going to happen, right? Like I can't tell you, well, I can tell you because I'm very freaking confident in myself that I'm going to go pay cash for my dream lake home. I don't know when that's happening. I don't know what it looks like. I don't have the full painted picture, but I can tell you by setting a simple boundary of no phone before 7 a.m., I can tell you that my attitude is going to change. My work ethic's going to change. My energy is going to change. I can tell you those simple things, and then showing up consistently for them every single day is going to make the biggest difference. So think of that big goal, that big dream that you love to go after. What do you need to start saying no to in order to make it happen? And maybe yours is not as audacious as mine. That's totally fine. Maybe yours is like, girl, I just want to lose 20 pounds. So what does that mean you need to start saying no to? Start saying no to hitting the snooze. Start saying no to drinking soda and eating sugar. What do those things look like? You got to remind yourself, if it's costing you your peace, your energy, or your happiness, it is way too expensive. You only have one life to live. And if you're spending all of your time stressed the F out, anxious and worried, with low energy, totally exhausted, totally overwhelmed, 24/7, mad at the world, pissed off, complaining about everything, is that the life you want to live? Just saying. You deserve to feel good. You deserve to live a life you love. You deserve to get the most out of this life. And trust me, it's here for everyone. It's possible for everyone. There is no scarcity. It is 100% abundant when you open your hands and your arms and you let it in. But it's really getting rid of those old bad vibes, creating those boundary lines so that you can grow, so that you're creating that positive environment for growth. The problem is when you first start to draw boundaries and practice selfishness, right? Because that's what some people are going to call it. After 30 plus years of being programmed to people pleasing and codependency, then you're going to be triggered because people are going to get salty and they're going to get mean and they're going to judge you. And you're going to experience feelings of guilt or like you're the villain or you're the bad guy. People are going to put that on you. And it's just part of it. And it's really recognizing what you're responsible for. The first thing that you have to learn when you're going through kind of that weird growth season, when you start putting those boundaries in place, is that the person who's angry at you or who's giving you pushback or who's trying to like push those boundaries, like, oh yeah, but what about this? But what about this? But what about this? They're the one with the problem. They're the one who is trying to fight that boundary line and who's trying to get more from you. Right? That's theirs to deal with. That's not yours. If someone's throwing a fit because you're taking care of you, because you're going after what you want, because you're doing things that make you happy, because you're trying to take care of your energy, it's more evidence that that boundary was 100% needed. If they aren't willing to do whatever it takes to make you your best self, they're not on your team, friend. They're not rooting for you. Everyone should be wanting you to be the best version of you. Other people around you should want you to take care of yourself, no matter what that costs. So, 8 signs you need to set boundaries. And I found this on Pinterest, so you can go find it on Pinterest if you want. But your primary focus is on others, putting your needs last, and it's negatively affecting your wellness. This is just kind of a check, so I'm going to let you check yourself while I read these. Second, mistakes trigger shameful, self-critical, and perfectionist tendencies. 3, you hide your true feelings and subsequently struggle with unspoken resentment. Anybody else? Whew, I got lots of expectations that I don't say out loud. Yeah, those expectations will be the death of you. 4, your self-esteem and self-worth come from solving the problems and gaining the approval of others. I don't know about you, but I love solving problems. That's a me. And again, you can go find the rest of this on Pinterest, but I just wanted to put these up here because it really spoke to me, obviously. And I think what you can really understand is that, you're going to hear lots of people say, self-care, self-love, all these things. I'm down with that. I'm down with the message of loving yourself fully 100%. But self-care does not mean going shopping and spending hundreds of dollars. Self-care does not mean bath bombs and brushing your hair. Self-care doesn't mean go and pee for 5 seconds by yourself. Self-care, honestly, a lot of the times does not feel good. It doesn't always feel good. You really have to listen to your feelings. So right now, kind of ask yourself, what are you feeling? Let's take inventory of our emotions. What's your stress level at? How exhausted are you? Are you tired? Are you joyful? What's going on in here, right? What are those feelings? If you're feeling some type of way, that's a sign you need to set a boundary. Ask yourself, what is that feeling and why are you feeling that? Because when you have the why, when you answer that why, you're going to know, right? So if I'm tired because I'm waking up too early and going to bed too late, I know that's a boundary I have to set, right? I gotta figure that out somewhere. I can't get up at 4 o'clock and stay up until 11. That's not going to bless me. So it's creating different boundaries. That way we can get the sleep time that we need, right? You gotta ask yourself these questions because each person's completely different. So then define your limits. Once you have these boundaries, you really got to define your limits. So again, maybe it's your husband who's constantly going above and beyond, bless his soul, bringing home supper every night to help you out, babe. Just say listen, you do you, boo. I'm going to eat healthy because I deserve to feel good. And I really made this promise to myself. That's your limit, right? My limit is I'm not eating the sugar. I'm not eating the extra carbs. I'm not having the shit food. I'm not having the alcohol. What does that look like, right? That's just an example. Define that limit and then stand up for that, right? Use that communication. Say, hey, I appreciate you so much for making us supper, for bringing us supper home. However, I am choosing to follow this nutrition plan to a T. And it's something I want to do for me. I definitely don't want to force it on you, but this is for me. And so I'm choosing not to eat that. Be very clear. Again, I know communication is really hard for adults. We don't know how to do that. We don't want to make someone else uncomfortable. But it doesn't have to be mean. It doesn't have to be angry. It's just you simply stating a fact, I don't want to do that. This is why. And you don't even have to explain yourself, sister. I am an explainer because I am a people pleaser, but it's not necessary. Learn to stop explaining. And it's something that takes time. You got to start with the boundaries and then you got to learn the rest from there. But at the end of the day, you have to know your worth and you have to know why you want that thing and what you're going to gain at the end of it, right? Know that you are worthy of whatever goal you're chasing. But then you have to be consistent. You can't say one day yep, I'm saying no to hitting snooze for 5 days. And then comes the weekend and you're like, oh, you know what? It is the weekend. So we're just going to snooze that puppy away. That's not how that works. You got to be consistent. You got to keep the promises to yourself, right? What does that goal look like? How are you going to lose those 20 pounds? You're not going to lose it by drinking and eating sugar all weekend long. That's not going to happen. You have to take responsibility for the action or inaction that you are or are not taking and really step into it. There's no shame here. There's take that off the table. It's not about it. It's just owning the action, what has happened and saying, okay, this is what I want. This is how I was behaving. This is what I have to do to get over it. You got to let go of where you're going to be a year from now, how fast you're going to reach that goal. And you just have to show up day to day. Treat every day like it's day one, 100%. So what are things that can help you? And I just wanted to throw this in here. It was off of Pinterest, a Pinterest thing too, but I thought they were pretty helpful. Scheduling alone time, right? Making sure you have time to yourself. And I know that looks so different for everybody because we're all in different areas of life right now. Is it locking yourself in a closet for 20 minutes? Is it going to bed early of an evening when you're having a bad day? Is it your morning workout routine, right? Whatever that looks like. Eating, making sure you're blessing your body and taking care of you. You have to really control the controllable. And if you want to feel good, that starts on the inside. If you're giving it shit 24/7, guess what? That leads into your workouts, which leads into your sleep, which leads into your digestion, which leads into your attitude, which leads into, can go on and on and on. You want to know why you feel like crap? and you're doing your workout every day, that's probably it. Your nutrition's crappy. Creating space. Get rid of the negativity. If you see someone or something that makes you feel some type of way, or they're only talking about negative stuff, back away from that. Create that space. I'm not saying cut them out. Absolutely not. They're people you love in your life. But it's really important that you make some space. That way you can breathe. So you don't feel it overwhelming you. Maybe it's TV, right? Anybody else love, guys, I just discovered that MTV has shows on Netflix. I am a sucker for crap TV. I am such a sucker for crap TV, but it's not good for my attitude. And when I watch it too often, guess what? I start turning into a jerk, right? Same with social media. Social media, there's not a lot of nice people on it right now. And so it's really setting those boundaries with your social media, who you're interacting with, unfriending, unfollowing if you need to, journaling, taking time to just kind of write. Maybe it's at the end of the day, maybe it's at the beginning of your day. I don't know what that looks like for you, but just where you write, like, how was your day? What's happening? How are you feeling? What's going on? Right? Getting it out of here so that you're not constantly thinking about it or stressing about it or weighing on it. It just needs out of the head, right? Being honest. Stop sweeping your feelings under the rug. Stop being like, oh, I'm fine. It's fine. Oh, I'm just so strong. There's nothing wrong with me, right? And if there's an issue in a relationship, whether it's with your husband, whether it's with your child, whether it's with your best friend, whether it's with your mother, just talk about it. Just talk about it, right? If you want to create a healthy, happy relationship, that's what it really takes. And then work. Don't take on more than you can handle. And this is me talking to me. You have to take time to rest. You've got to be willing to have fun, because if you're constantly working your life away, guess what? You're going to get at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the year, and you're going to say, I worked my ass off for what? For what? You worked your ass off for what? To still be stuck in the same place? To feel resentment towards your job? To feel like you're not enough? To not have a relationship with your family? Right? And like in anything, there'll be times where you have to compromise, and you got to compromise when it's necessary, but you must expect that in return. When you're setting boundaries, it's really important to be like, here's my boundary. This is what it is. And people are going to push back, especially if you've been letting them walk all over you for forever. That's not something you can change like that. But have that conversation, see where you need to compromise, what you need to do, and then be okay with that, depending on the relationship importance. And of course, this Bree Brown quote. I love Bree Brown. If you have not read any of her books, do it. Do it. Oh, so good. She actually has a Netflix thing. What's it called? I don't know. I'll recommend it for one of our movie nights. So good. But daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves even when we risk disappointing others. Has anyone else read Untamed? That reminds me of that quote in Untamed by Glennon Doyle, right? Like, if you have the option of choosing making others comfortable or making you comfortable, and I'm totally butchering this quote. Somebody drop it in the chat, because I know you know it better. Always choose you. Choose you 100%. The hard part is we can't simultaneously set boundaries and take care of other people's feelings. We really have to recognize what we're responsible for. If we put the weight of our happiness and their feelings and how they respond on our shoulders, nobody's going to feel good in this situation, right? So you have to recognize what is your responsibility and what's not. Here are some really powerful statements, and you guys can take a screenshot. I can share this later in the team page of just like kind of affirmations that you can say to yourself. For example, the first one is, I allow others to accept their responsibility for themselves, and I do not try to accept their responsibility. That's big for me, right? And there's this thing that shows, this is my responsibility. This is my responsibility. This is not my responsibility. This is my responsibility. Your only responsibility is my words, my behavior, my actions, my effort, my mistakes, my ideas, and the consequences of my actions. Everything else belongs to them. Whew. Big. So now I want to give you guys kind of space to talk, ask questions, comments, takeaways, whatever that is. So I'm going to stop the share so we can hear from you.
Boundaries. Oh, that's a hot topic for me. Because this has been my journey for probably the last year is creating boundaries between other people whenever I realized that I was just opening my arms to everybody and letting everybody take my energy. And once I quit my job, I realized like it was like a ton of bricks how much I was letting other people steal my joy and how much I was letting other people's actions affect me and how I wasn't creating boundaries with a lot of people still. I mean, I've done a lot of work up till that point, but it was still like just that last little thing to set me over the edge of shit. Like it's way more than that. But it's like undoing years and years and years and years and years and years and years of people pleasing, and years of just feeling like I had to please other people so they would love me. So I had zero boundaries. I was the 3 a.m. friend for so many people. I was just convenient. And it made me not to like put it in a negative light, but it made me the target to be used a lot. And yeah, it's a definite process to start here. And I really love how you presented everything. And I think it's amazing. So I'm going to be excited for other people to watch the playback because it's gold.
I suck at adulting conversations. I'm just going to put that out there. Resolving conflict, especially with the husband. Getting better. But those are not fun conversations. I do not like them. Because I have been forever and ever and ever just burying all of the feelings and untangling them and only showing them as anger. Like, I'm good at anger. I can handle that emotion. This is just the rest of them I have issues with. So reading that Think Like a Monk and him asking what is your fear and what is your fear, and then going down, and I'm like, I know there's a root. I don't know if I want to cover that right now, but I'm like, I'm gonna have to sit with myself for some time and figure out all of my shit. So, because it's hard to set a boundary when you don't know who you are and what your issues are 100%. So that's where I'm at.
I love that you said that, legit goosebumps. And I think that's it. So many of the times we have these underlying things in our lives that we don't realize we're combating, right? Like it could be a truth from when you were a child, like something that you learned as a child that you've been hiding. You had no idea. And so your whole life, you've kind of built up this wall against any of that behavior or pushback or what you could be, whatever. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know, even know how to describe that, but it's so true because we just protect ourselves. And I think that's the hardest part. Like, it's just self-preservation. And again, we don't know how to have conversations. We don't know what that's like. So it's the growth is messy, but geez, feels good.
Yeah. When in the book, when he goes from I'm not a good test taker, I suck at tests, to I'm afraid of not making my parents happy. I'm like, how the F are those branches connected? And then when he was going through that, and I'm like, okay, I see that. I am not at my root. Because I'm sitting, I'm like, oh, I know what I'm afraid of. And I'm listening, and I'm reading, and I'm like, oh no, that's a branch. That isn't the root. So
yeah.
I think sometimes it comes down to what they call shadow work. So that's basically like what you do whenever you sit and get quiet and you meditate. They call it shadow work. I'm pretty sure if I'm completely butchering this, if somebody else knows, but it's just like that inner lookingness, and that's why I want to go just be a monk and live in an ashram forever, because I have so many layers that I could just peel back. And I think that's important for everyone to understand, is that there are so many layers of you. You think that you're just this basic bitch sorry, not sorry. You think you're just basic and there's nothing special about you and you're just another being on the planet. But there's so many different levels of us, and you're just going to keep peeling them back as you get quiet and as you get centered and you let your mind start opening up. It's like those things are going to start coming in. Thank God for meditation. I'm just going to say thank God for meditation. But yeah, and that's just like one piece of it. Some of it is things like this and having talks like that. And sometimes other people can look at you and pick things out that you have never even thought of. Or even talking to a counselor. Oh my God, that was a big pivotal moment for me in my growth journey, was having somebody else on the outside go, listen, you do so much, yet you beat yourself up for those things. Can you like stop long enough to look yourself in the mirror and be like, man, I am killing this. But at the time, it is you're beating yourself up because you didn't succeed. That one part you talked about beating yourself up because you didn't hit a goal or everything like that. And it's like, look at everything you've already done to get here. So it's just like this vicious cycle of like constantly hating on yourself.
Yes, Amy, all of that. I don't have, well, I guess I could turn my video on, but we were eating supper. So. But all of that, sorry, I'm a mess, about the counseling and just talking about your feelings. And I'm like the biggest I don't even know what you want to call it, doubter, like of what I've accomplished. Like, y'all know I've accomplished shit. But to me, it's like nothing in my head. Like, it's like those things that I just had to do. So that's my hardest part, is just being like, look at how far you freaking come. You can do hard things. Keep doing them, is my personal thing. But like you said, just Deidre mentioned in the video, just talking about your problems or when you're angry and counseling. I like used to be embarrassed about it, but it is the biggest life changer ever. Like, I go once a week. I actually went today, go once a week. Sometimes I feel like we don't talk about anything, but it is like, it's my life. It's just talking and getting that out, and it makes such a huge difference. So.
Well, thank you guys for sharing. I love chit chatting like afterwards, just getting your guys' thoughts and like takeaways, because that's really powerful for me. So thank you for unmuting and having conversations. We don't have any more questions. I am going to go ahead and end the call. You will be able to catch the replay in the Google Drive that we have in the team page. Thank you for being here. I love you all, and I will see you later.